Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. We are here at Heartland Forest in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. We're just finishing our 7th workshop, which has been part of our Purple Heart project, where we combine civilians with combat wounded veterans. We do a class that typically goes for 5 days, anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day, learning hand skills from sharpening to planing to cutting dovetails to cutting mortise and tenon joints. Steve was one of our civilians that came and supported the program, to which we have a great deal of appreciation because it makes it so that we can do this. Steve, where are you from?
Originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and for the last 2 years I lived in Arlington, Virginia. I work in Washington, D.C.
A little bit of traffic?
Yeah, try to avoid it.
No kidding. So, first question I have for you, how did you find out about what we're doing?
Actually, my buddy Dave Nelson mentioned the site to me and your program, the Purple Heart program. So that's how I've been a woodworker for many years, and so I scroll the internet and try to see different woodworking sites. And I'd seen some of your stuff, and Dave really got me focused on this project.
Okay. So you've been here for 5 very long days. What'd you get out of it?
Where do I start?
What's in your hand?
Yeah, right. I've been woodworking pretty much self-taught. Don't criticize it, Rob.
I can't.
Yeah, it's.
I gotta put it up close to the camera. See it? It's a piece of walnut and pine. It's part of what we call a bench hook. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it'll be finished before I leave, hopefully. So I got interested in woodworking many years ago, and had a friend back home, and learned some stuff from him, and read a lot, watched a lot of videos, and just started doing it. And in the process, developed a few skills and a ton of bad habits. And the biggest thing I got in terms of the skill set from your teaching in this class was the attention to detail, and even down to the point of when you were showing us half blinds, picking out a single fiber. And this thing, I can tell that I didn't level the bed for these tails to go in. So I know what the problem is, and I know how to fix it. So hopefully this side will be better. But the level of my skills were down about here when I started, and in 5 days, I mean, I'm doing something now that 1% of the woodworking world is able to do, or less, actually.
Yeah.
So, and that's not as amazing to me as being around these vets. They tend to be, with the trauma they've gone through, they've told us, around civilians we don't talk. And I think you create an environment here where
You're part of that.
Yeah, but...
So the people we bring help create that environment. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but don't just push it here, because you have to realize that the people that come, the civilians that come, they create that environment. No, oh, sorry, I'll let you finish.
Well, and I understand what you're saying, and I think it's a combination of many things. The civilians were invested in this program. That's why we're here. You've got a heart as big as Canada, and it shows every day, every minute of every day. And your love for these guys and women, and your commitment to helping them. So it was amazing to see, to interact with them, and for them to be comfortable talking to all of us. And from a skill and therapeutic standpoint, I mean, I've been messing around with wood for years, right? So a lot of this was not foreign to me. Some of these people have never picked up a hand tool. And I looked at a couple of their dovetails, and they're better than mine, right? And so that astounds me, and I know that because I've seen it and they've told me. I know that when they go home, that they have a skill now that they can continue on with, and it will help them get better, help them feel better. That's amazing. That's an amazing gift you give these guys.
Yeah. Well, we got a whole bunch of people that contribute to make it possible. I might be the one that pulls it all together, but I have to share that credit because there are so many people, too many to name.
Yeah.
But I always like to bring up Woodcraft because when we first started to do this, we did not have the money for the tools. And I picked up the phone and I called some of the Woodcraft owners I knew. Russ Little out in Portland, Oregon was the first one, who has 2 boys in the Navy. I told him what I needed, and his answer was simple: where do you want me to send the tools? And I got that response from every one of the ones I asked. So there's a lot of really good people in that organization, and we've managed to find some really good people like yourself who will come. And, you know, it's so therapeutic for those guys to be able to feel comfortable around you and start talking. We sat there at dinner the other night, and I didn't say anything. I just listened to the conversation you guys were having. So you're right. It's very helpful.
Yeah, and, you know, it's more than... I know you can go to schools all over the country, and you know, you go and maybe you make some friends, but there's no social interaction outside of it to speak of. Everybody kind of goes their own way at the end of the day. But here, I mean, you're immersed not only in developing your woodworking skills, but in the community that you create. You know, we eat 3 meals a day together and pray together, and you know, go home at night and literally go to bed, get up and do it again, and can't wait to get up and get out the door and get back here. I would highly recommend it to anybody who has any interest at all in woodworking, because it will take your skills to a whole new level, and more importantly, you'll leave different than you came, getting to know these guys, men and women. I keep saying guys,
Yeah.
but the men and women who gave so much for our country and our freedom. It's like I said, it's an amazing thing that you're doing here, Rob, and can't thank you
Jake.
enough. And Jake,
Luther.
I
Dave,
know,
Megan.
Dave, Megan. I know, and I don't mean to cut anybody out.
I know. I just threw him in.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about coming back in the fall with your son. I hope you
Yeah.
do. Thank you for supporting our program.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Okay.